Good morning, everybody, from a brilliant morning in Australia. Yes, a country in the crosshairs of climate change. Fires to floods to droughts as a consequence of increasing extreme weather events. I've had the good fortune and privilege of a long career in investment banking, morphing in my years to seeking solutions through innovative green finance to help abate climate change and its effect on nature. My introduction to sustainability was the Rio Earth Summit in 1992. At that time, fossil fuels provided roughly 80% of the world's primary energy. 31 years later, fossil fuels still provide 80% of the world's primary energy. What beggars belief is that the situation today is far more critical given the staggering loss of biodiversity since Rio. Today, 1 million plant and animal species are now threatened with extinction. Ecosystems everywhere are in decline, and without urgent action, the trajectory of nature's decline will, by every measure, continue through 2050. Nature is inextricably linked with climate. Much of what is required to drive the necessary global transition to a sustainable future has not yet been designed or implemented. A lack of policy catalysts and insufficient flows of capital from the private sector are the essence of green finance solutions. Neither is nature properly valued, despite the fact that all life and the global economy depends upon it. My favourite songwriter, Peter Gabriel, wrote, "I like to dream a lot of what there is and what there's not." I can relate to that. Dreaming and reality captures my journey. My personal trip to the world of green finance started with my interest in trees, the bookends of life. In my opinion, the most important Australian tree is actually not the eucalypt, but a bunya tree, found in the Bunya Mountains in Queensland. It is a member of the rare and ancient Araucaria family, surviving ice ages. Its unique importance is due to the edible fruit from its cones. It is the only piece of fauna or flora that brought the Aboriginal tribes together for their feast every 4 years, over thousands and thousands of years. Over the past 2 decades, I have indeed been privileged to have had advisory roles with UNEP, UNDP, numerous climate-related NGOs, the Nature Conservancy, the Green Finance Initiative in London, and initiatives around the G20 Sustainability Group. Of course, my reason for being with you, a long association with the GLF, from its early iterations to its current extraordinary reach and success, benchmarked by your conference here today. It was through the GLF, particularly a conference in Jakarta, where I promoted the creation of the Commercial Green Bond. Probably more important was a speech also in Jakarta, where as the only member from the financial community, I pressed for a change in narrative on green finance, for it to be seen not as a risk, but as an opportunity. Being the only person in the room is a very lonely existence. Equally important was messaging in those early years that philanthropy for nature plus government just wouldn't come close to doing it. Only private sector money would bridge the gap, and of course today the challenge is even greater. Thankfully, the days of being a lonely representative from the world of investment banking and being asked why I'm there are long gone. It's now wall-to-wall bankers and asset managers. However, unlike the world of finance and business, the world of green finance is more collaborative, egalitarian, and forgiving in failure in creating new financial instruments. Rejection was always a constant companion. I'm still pushing for the Financial Stability Board to make a bold move and mandate changes in Tier 2 capital for global banks to include green assets. The incentive for the banks would be greater leverage. The result would be a blossoming of new forms of green financial instruments. Have any of you spent time in the wild with the orangutans? It is an intensely moving experience, never to be lost. The degeneration of their habitat and their possible extinction focuses the mind in seeking green financial solutions for food chains. If my grandchildren can make informed decisions in a supermarket about responsibly sourced fish or alternatives to palm oil, then what will they do when they get their hands on green finance? I remember a speech by Arkham Steiner in 2008, pressing for a global Green New Deal, describing the enormous source of economic and environmental benefits. We have come so far, but still so far to go. There is no better place to see nature than on horseback. That has led to my current conservation project in the unique landscape of southern Patagonia. Our plan is to protect the area's wilderness, preserve a way of life that has existed for generations, and promote sustainable development. But here's the thing, the whole project will be financed by bonds we created, biosecurity bonds and conservation bonds, a guarantee that financing will lead to the conservation and sustainability. And yes, there will be challenges in monitoring. Counting condors is a very big ask. Thank you for your time. My personal journey was possible through the generosity of spirit of all those involved in this great crusade for nature and climate.